Hi everybody, Jake here for FMSCOUT. Welcome to today's video. The European Championships has just finished and we thought why not make a video on 11 of the top performers who are available to sign in Football Manager and make good signings in their own right. Now don't get me wrong, there are some players that aren't going to be in this video that are amazing signings in Football Manager, but I think the 11 we've picked today, we've looked for players that performed well but maybe fly under the radar a bit in game and are players that I reckon most of you haven't bought the majority of these guys in your saves, despite the fact that they do make some very good options when you're in the transfer market in FM21. Now these players are going to be, some of them will be good for, your Manchester Cities, your Liverpools, that kind of thing, and some will be good for championship level teams, with some of them being £2 to £3 million and some being £50, £60 million plus, but the majority of them are in a affordable area for most decent teams, I would say. So hopefully there's a mix enough in this video that there's something for everyone and hopefully a player for each of your guys' saves. But before we get into that, I'd just like to ask you guys, if you do enjoy this kind of content, I always say it, but drop a like button on the video. It really does help the videos out in terms of performance. Drop a comment down below who your favourite surprise performer was in the Euros, someone you maybe weren't expecting to do too well who did, and subscribe to the FMSCOUT channel if you haven't already, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our uploads. So with that being said, no more messing around, let's go and have a look at our 11 players that we have picked for today's video. Okay, and starting off with a goalkeeper now, throughout the whole video, please ignore the star ratings. We are Liverpool, so it's comparing a lot of the players that we're looking for here to Liverpool players, and of course, someone like Livakovic is not at the level of Alisson. However, the Croatian goalkeeper really stood out in the tournament, in my opinion, and for me, he's been a great signing throughout Football Manager. I'm sure a lot of you guys have picked this guy up. I had him in my little save. He was our goalkeeper for a number of years. If you want to check that out, by the way, and help us get to 2,500 subscribers, the link to my channel is in the description. Very close now. We need like 10 more, and then we'll be halfway to 5k. So if you want to check that out, feel free. But yeah, Livakovic was awesome for us in goal. Yes, he's probably not going to play for Manchester City, but I reckon lower table Premier League teams, so anyone below like the top 8, top 10. He's 25 years old, is a consistent performer for the Croatian national team, and has some really nice goalkeeping attributes. I always say this in these videos, I find it really hard to talk about goalkeepers, but you can see greens and blues all around. Blue for me is 16 plus, so he's done really well. Livakovic is a great option. I think £10 million represents good value for money. If he was playing in a different league, he'd be a lot more expensive, but because he is in the Croatian league with Dinamo Zagreb, he is fairly easy to pick up, so £10 million makes him a really good option, and he'll continue to be a good goalkeeper in your guys' saves for a number of years. Okay, moving over to a player from the Finnish national team now, Yara Yaronen. I'm definitely pronouncing that wrong, but if anyone's Finnish, do let me know in the comments how you do pronounce it. This guy is a really good left back and someone that wasn't even on my radar at all before I started making this video. Obviously I saw him at the Euros and I didn't really realise who he played for or anything like that, but he can be picked up for a measly £3 million from Genk in the Belgian divisions. Now, yes, he's not the world's best left back, but for £3 million here, you're getting a very good backup left back, or if you're a lower down team, he would make a really good fullback for your guys' teams. Whilst he doesn't stand out in any area in particular, he's got pretty good physical attributes and he's balanced all across the board with nice mentals, and he's not too heavily favoured in one direction where he can't defend but he's good going forward, or he's really good at defending but can't go forward. He's got a mixture of everything, and that makes him a really good option in that left back position in my opinion. Still only 26, so for £3 million you're getting quite a few years out of this guy with 14 crossing, 14 corners and 14 passing. He is pretty good in that aspect of the game, and on top of that he does have good defending attributes, so I think he's a very good left back. Let me know what you think, but Yaronen here does represent a good value for money left back that can fit in at a variety of levels. Okay, moving on to a player who I think could potentially move in real life and someone that I think caught the eye of everyone when you were watching the Dutch national team. But Denzel Dumfries was arguably in for a shout. I don't know if they've made it yet, but in my opinion, he would maybe be in the best 11 of the tournament. I thought he was really good at right back for the Dutch national team, and he's pretty decent in Football Manager too. Really good physically. I think that's where he needs a bigger boost, because I thought he was really good in terms of the physical aspects of his game for the Netherlands, and then on top of that he's got decent mental attributes too, with a high work rate, which makes him a good wing back option, I would say, and he's good going forward and he can defend. Like I said about Yaronen, he's not the world's best, but he's valued at £8 million at PSV, and you can pick him up for around 10 if I remember right. Let's just quickly have a look. Yeah, so between 8.7 and £12 million, so if we go in the middle, about £10 million, and if you look at the kind of teams that are interested in him, if we're using the English leagues as a benchmark, he'd be in the Premier League playing for any club outside of the top 6 or 7 teams, with the likes of Brighton, Palace, Everton, Leeds and Southampton all interested in this guy. It goes to show just how good of a player he is, and he'd definitely be your starting right back for years to come, and I don't think you'd have many issues with him. Even if you were playing for one of the bigger teams in the world, he'd still be a very good backup option, I would say, and could even potentially challenge for that right back spot. Now moving on to a player who played for one of my favourite teams in the Euro competition this year in Denmark's Wacky Mailer. He was one of the key players in how well they did and getting to the semi-final and only just losing out to England, and he is a very good option in Football Manager and someone that I'm surprised I haven't came across him more often, because he's really versatile, and if you were to sign him you'd be looking at a player who could play a variety of positions for you, maybe as a backup or a starter depending on what kind of level team you're at. But the fact that he's a regular starter at Atalanta, a Champions League team, goes to show how good this guy is. Denmark deployed him as a right-footed left-back in the competition. However, I think he is best suited in Football Manager to this right-hand side. He's got some really good physical attributes on top of some really well-balanced mentals and some balanced technicals too, with that crossing and going forward side of his game. He's only just joined Atalanta from Genk when you start a save for about £9 million, and it will take you, if you want to buy him straight away, about £20 to £25 million to bring him into your team, which I think if you're a top-end team, maybe you can splash the cash around. But considering how hard cash is to come by at the start of Football Manager this year due to the whole COVID situation, I don't think Mailer is an option to buy straight away, and maybe you want to add to your shortlist to potentially pick up in the future to provide a great amount of depth to your team. I mean, if someone gets injured anywhere on the pitch, he can probably fill in. Similarly to Mailer, we're looking at Spinozola now, one of the standout players in the tournament, another fullback who did very, very well and was arguably Italy's best player until he got injured. I thought he did great, and it's pretty unfortunate that he didn't get to play them last 2 games after his horrible injury. But this guy in Football Manager is a very, very good option, and I'm not just saying that. He's either-footed, which is great in terms of his versatility. You can use him pretty much anywhere, on the left-hand side or the right flank. He's got really good physical attributes with a great amount of pace, as well as some really good stamina. His mentals are awesome too. On top of that, technically, he is very good. Another one where maybe his defensive game does let him down a little bit, but if you've got the ability to have a fullback who just roams forward, this could be the guy for you, with 14 crossing, 16 dribbling, 15 first touch, 14 technique, 13 passing. There's an argument that he could be trained to play a different position, but I think as a complete wing-back, yeah, that makes sense, or a wing-back would be his best positions in Football Manager, and I think he's a very good sign-in. He is wanted at the start of the game by PSG, which goes to show just how good this guy is. He does cost around £25 million, like Mailer does, but see if he can beat PSG to his transfer. Around £20–25 million for this Roma superstar. Hopefully he does recover from that injury that he got in real life. But Spinozola, what do you guys think? Is he a good signing in Football Manager? I certainly think so. Moving away from defenders now and into the midfield, attacking midfield positions, we have got Mikhail Darmsgaard. Now, after the unfortunate incident surrounding Christian Eriksen, Darmsgaard stepped in and filled his boots to the best of his ability, and I think the best credit you can give him is it almost felt like they weren't even feeling the effects of losing Eriksen in them final few games that they had, because Darmsgaard was playing just so well for them in that attacking midfield role. I think he's a great option in Football Manager. His free kick against England was stunning. Whether Jordan Pickford should have saved it or not if he was a bit taller, who knows, but Darmsgaard is a very good option, and at only the age of 20 years old, I mean, maybe you can consider him a wonderkid. He's a regular starter for Sampdoria in the Serie A in Italy, and I think he is a very good option in Football Manager due to his just balanced attributes. Yes, you could probably get better than him, but if we're talking about players who shone at the Euros, I think he was definitely one of them, although he has just recently joined. So they won't let him go all that easily, although if you're looking for an option who can play in a variety of positions in that forward line, I think Darmsgaard is a great option. A bit of development when he's 23, 24, he's going to have a lot more blues. That dribbling will be 16, 17. I think he's already got the attributes to be a contributor in your guys' teams, but with a bit more development, I think he could be a key player in your side. So that's Mikhail Darmsgaard. Is he a good signing in Football Manager? He might cost a bit, but I think he definitely is. Okay, now moving on to the most expensive player in this list. He's one that I'm sure loads of you already know about, to be honest. He's around £60 million. It is, of course, Pedri of Spanish and Barcelona fame. He was great in the Spanish national team. And I mean, I don't want to say they lacked a key player in the tournament, but it did feel like they were missing that one spark. But when Pedri was playing, I thought he was the one for Spain that looked like he was the one to open up any team. He played really well and played well beyond his years. He's 17, 18 years old. Now he is going to cost a lot of money in Football Manager. Actually, if you wait a few years, there's a chance you can get him for a little bit cheaper. I've had that happen quite often in my saves, but if you start right at the beginning, he's likely going to cost you about £60 million. Maybe you can get him on loan, but he is a player for the biggest teams in the world, and you can see why. He's only going to get better. He's only 17 here. By the time he's 21, his attributes will have skyrocketed, and he's going to be definitely worth the investment that you do pay for him. What a star Pedri is. What a player Barcelona have got on their hands there in a time where they're probably going to have to offload some of the older heads at the squad. Hopefully players like Pedri can step up and really cement a place in their first team consistently in the next coming seasons. Moving on to a signing now that could be considered controversial, as we all know in Football Manager, if you sign anyone over the age of 23, you're crazy. Not really, but you know, people do think that kind of way, and to sign a 30-year-old who is injury prone and might be past his best on a lot of money at West Ham is a bit of a crazy one, but he did really well for Ukraine, and I think I haven't really looked at him in Football Manager properly until now. He's got some great attributes to be an inside forward, inverted winger, either one of them, as a left footer on the right hand side. I mean, what more could you really want? Dribbling, finishing, first touch is great. Long shots at a nice level, to be honest. Passing, technique, flair off the ball, everything is at a good level, and he hasn't lost his physicals either. At the age of 30, he can also head the ball. He's tall. He can take set pieces too. The only downside to this guy is the fact that he's on a lot of money at West Ham, and he is pretty injury prone in the game. He's got some nice player traits too. Now, he's going to cost you, according to my list here, about £10 million. I've already looked at all this beforehand. For £10 million, I think this transfer could go either way. You could sign him, and he could maybe just give your team the boost it needs for a couple years before he's too old to play anymore. Or, you know, he could get an injury and be done. But his record for Ukraine doesn't lie. He's a great player, and hopefully you can get some results out of him in Football Manager should you sign him. Has anyone managed West Ham? Do you use him? I could imagine if you are West Ham, he could be a very good, at least squad option for you. He could just be worth the 10 million. Let me know, guys. Do you think you're going to sign this guy? I imagine this is the one that a lot of you will say, no way, not for £10 million. But he's a good player. Even if he is 30 years old, you're going to get a couple of years out of him at least. So yeah, Andrei Yarmolenko, that's the right winger on this team. Let's move on to the final 3 players in today's list. Before we go and have a look at the 2 strikers we have picked for this team, I think we have to give credit to Robin Gossens. This tournament was full of great fullbacks, and Robin Gossens for Germany was another one. Germany maybe didn't have the best tournament, maybe not their fault either. They had a hard knockout game in England and a very hard group, so they never really got a chance to shine, other than that great game they had against Portugal. But yeah, this guy is always, he's Football Manager gold. That's the best way I can put it. He is wanted straight away at Atalanta by Manchester City and PSG apparently, so you can see the big clubs are in for this guy. Starting at the age of 26, he's a left back who is considered a good player even at Liverpool standards, so that goes to show the kind of level this guy's on, and he can be signed for fairly cheap for the kind of player you're getting here. He's going to be one of the best fullbacks in the world in your guys' saves for the first few years, playing for the top level clubs, and for around £25 million, I think he's good value for money. You're going to get minimum of 5 years at the top level for Gossens here, and he's just great. He's not really lacking in any area. Physicals are pretty balanced. He's got great work rate, great off the ball. Determination and anticipation are at a great level, alongside some other good mental attributes. And then yeah, he's got good technicals too. What more do you want in this guy? Definitely someone who's more suited to the attacking sense of the game, and you can see that here he's described as an attacking fullback, gets forward whenever possible. If you are looking for that kind of thing, and I find it works so well in Football Manager, we had Aaron Martin do it for us in our little save on my channel. When you find a left back who can contribute just as effectively to your team as a left winger, right winger, that's when you know you've got a great player. If you've got a good defence and you can allow someone like Gossens to bomb forward, you would definitely get the returns out of this guy. He's a great player for 25 million, and if 2 of the richest clubs in the world in PSG and Manchester City are after him, then you don't need to listen to me talk about how good this guy is, because it just goes to prove it there. So that is Gossens. Now let's move on to our last 2 players in this list, and they're both strikers at various levels, I would say. Now, I said Yarmolenko is probably the most controversial player in this list to have, but Kiefer Moore might just be topping him a little bit. The reason I've got him in here is because there was a thing on Football Manager's Twitter that showed who had been signed recently since people had been watching the Euros, and the amount of people signing Kiefer Moore had gone and skyrocketed up. So he's clearly someone that people have got their eyes on now, and you know, he's not something I'd use in Football Manager because I don't often use a target man, which seems like it's his best role at 6'5", with some decent heading attributes and great jumping reach. I say decent, 15 heading is very good. It's not something I would use, but if you need that kind of player in your team, a different option to use, maybe you're a Burnley, maybe you're a Sean Dyche style manager, the best way I would describe Kiefer Moore is as a bully, to be honest. He's got great strength, really tall, can out-jump pretty much anyone on the pitch, and score headers. I mean in the best sense of the word, a bully, but this is what he basically is. He's not my cup of tea in terms of a Football Manager player. He's definitely an old style striker, and sometimes your team needs that kind of option. Maybe if you're chasing a game and you just want to bomb everyone forward, on comes Kiefer Moore and scores you a header. Now, if you're interested, you can sign him for around £4 to £5 million, which, you know, maybe as a backup for a really low level Premier League team or as an important player for a Championship team, you could sign this guy. You're probably going to get 4 or 5 years out of him still playing at this kind of level, and he could be an option. That's Kiefer Moore for you. Has anyone used him? Apparently, according to Football Manager, you guys have. I don't know. Is he good? Let me know. Okay, and our final player in today's list was playing for the Czech team who did so well in the tournament. I really like Kufal too, but Patrick Schick was surely the standout player and maybe one of the standout players in the tournament altogether. He scored a great goal from long range against Scotland and then continued to score throughout the tournament. He is 24 years of age, so he's still got plenty of years at the top level, played plenty of times for the Czech international team and is playing for Bayer Leverkusen in the German Bundesliga. Now, that is going to mean that he's not going to be easy to get your hands on. He has just joined them as well, but he's been on a bit of a tour where he hasn't really got too many goals. So maybe now that he's had that great tournament and there's going to be more eyes on him, he might thrive off the pressure, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of scouts looking at this guy as a potential signing. He is going to be hard to get your hands on straight away, but if you do get your hands on him, dribbling, finishing, first touch, all highlighted for an advanced forward up front, that's great. On top of that, he's 6'2", can jump and can score headers. He's decent at passing with good technique and some really nice mental attributes, although that's probably the place where he needs the most work. And whilst he isn't the quickest in the world, he's not slow either, and he's strong. Left-footed, good personality, maybe he needs a bit more determination. I mean, who knows, if he plays well in the Bundesliga, Bayern Munich, they're going to see another player doing well in the Bundesliga and say, yeah, we'll have him. He might replace Robert Lewandowski one day. I'm thinking too far ahead. But Patrick Schick, what a player he is. Is he going to be a good signing in Football Manager? I would say yes. He's going to cost you a fair chunk of money, around £35 million. But I think he's a very good option. So with that being said, that is our 11 players who performed well in the Euros, who could also be good signings in Football Manager. Hopefully there's been a variety of players here that you could potentially use in your guys' saves, whether you're playing for the biggest clubs in the world or some teams a little lower down. Let me know what you guys think. Have you signed any of these guys? Have you had any success? And who are we missing? If you did enjoy today's video, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, and feel free to check out my channel linked in the description, as we get so close now to 2,500 subscribers. So thank you guys for watching. I've been Jake for FM Scout. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.